Thank you. So then we move, last but not least, to the Spreydon-Cashmere Community Board. Carolyn Potter and Melanie Coker here as well today. So welcome to the table. Thank you for waiting all morning for the opportunity to talk to us. And we look forward to hearing what's happening in Spreydon-Cashmere. Thank you.
He's right. That's right. She's the Irish director.
Kia ora tātou. We wanted to start off just with a little comment about the annual plan. We were desperate for some operational expenditure, in the first round of the annual plan, and latterly we would like to have made several applications for operational expenditure in the annual plan, and we're told in no uncertain terms that we weren't allowed to. And so we're very surprised to see in the annual plan a heck of a lot of operational expenditure. Just for example, Little River's got $10,000 for planning, and that's great. But we, our board, who were incredibly modest in our applications in the annual plan, so modest was the response from the City Council to our modest applications in the annual plan that we can't find Spreydon-Cashmere in the annual plan. Well, I'm sure it is, but we just can't find it at the moment. We would have loved some operational expenditure. We had plans that we wanted to do. We did want to consult the community, just for example, about an adult playground, and we would have loved to have had the opportunity and the chance to have done that. I hope next year that people aren't told what we were told this year. The Barrington playground renewal, this has been planned for quite a long time, and the significant thing about it is that it's going to be accessible to people with a range of disabilities and abilities, and we are very glad to have seen the staff who put proposals to us that looked imaginative and interesting, and we hope that we are successful in that rebuild. We did suggest that we'd like a bus stop shelter further down the park to accommodate those people who have interest in the local liquor stores, to be able to rest in a comfortable way a little bit away from the children's playground.
Right. Rowley Resource Centre. So in this picture up here, you see the woman with the jersey, the stripy jersey, that's Alma, and she had been working at Rowley Resource Centre, which is fantastic part of our ward for 25 years, or 20 years over a period of 25 years, and she had her farewell, which was beautiful and emotional, and she had a great time, but she got these wonderful presents. Up the top in that left-hand picture is Carl the Carver, who's quite well known, I didn't realise until yesterday's meeting, in the area, who'd made her this statue in the corner, if you can see it. And when he showed it to her, he was whispering about how the top of it was rough and then the bottom of it was smooth, like, because she's rough on the exterior but a lovely person on the inside. So everyone's really sad to miss Alma. But we're still glad that the Resource Centre continues to do excellent work in the Rowley community. The West Spreydon School Pool, is that the next? I'll do it. Good on you. This is just a great story. I think we might well have mentioned it before. It first opened in 1935, and there they all are. And the huge effort that communities put into creating swimming pools in those decades, it's just this is bang in the middle of the Depression, and here they are building a school pool. And so that was just fantastic. And it closed, just worn to bits, and closed along with other school pools in 2007. And in 2009, the community got together again, said they missed the school pool, and they started to fundraise the hundreds and thousands of dollars it took to raise the money to rebuild the school pool at West Spreydon School, and they opened this beautiful two pools, actually, one for infants and one for bigger kids, and quite deep as well.
And they opened the 2 pools on the 17th of February 2011 after raising hundreds and thousands of dollars, and 5 days later it crashed. And Dwayne Major, the buyer of the beach, who's heavily involved in West Spreydon School, he brought to the board a few months later a video of the opening of the school pool that had happened in 2011, and people on our board were in tears. It was just the most amazing experience. Well, back again. They're off to it. They're buying. The way they talk about fundraising 200,000, it's like sort of going down the road and holding a hand out. They just go for it, and they've got the money and imported a pool from America, which will break up into bits if there's an earthquake, and will be much easier to rebuild. They've got the hole in the ground, and the outside of it looks fairly shell-shocked, but it's there. And they're now fundraising for additional money to do these the poolside work and the accessible toilets and all that kind of thing. And our contribution, which we voted on after this report was written, is $18,000. The really interesting thing about this is that you can buy a membership of the school pool for the summer for $80, which is a lot of money. But the maximum number of people in a family, and that's for the family, $80 for the family, but the maximum number of people that can be counted as a family for entry to the pool on that family's ticket is 10. Lots of cousins and next door neighbours can go along. And the West Spreydon School has emphasised throughout that it's a community pool. And the board is discussing the idea of contributing to the family tickets and giving them to the principals of neighbouring schools so that their communities can participate in the West Spreydon Community School Pool and membership thereof as well. So we're really chuffed with that, and that's the kind of thing that makes your heart go warm, a little bit like Kim's fridge. And we've had concerns, the board's had concerns for all the years that I've been on it about the tree planting in our ward and the removal of trees. Periodically we have discussions about can we please be advised on the removal of trees, and we get told that we will be, and then trees are removed and we don't. And secondly, the planting of the trees seems somewhat random, especially around the riverbanks. And our board has well-established and long-held views on the kinds of things that they would like to see planted, particularly in terms of complying with the biodiversity policy that the council has. And so we would like discussions to be held about how boards are advised as to events in their wards all over. But beyond that, our staff has taken the initiative to get together with other units and other staff that are dealing with issues in our ward to see if we can get better communication going. And we look forward to the results of the staff's work in that regard, and we thank them for the effort they've put in.
Community board planning. Now, if I've got this right, we went to multiple sites. The last one we went to was West Spreydon School. We went to their fair in a bitterly cold morning on a Sunday, and got heaps of responses from people. I think overall we had, was it 273 or something like that, responses from people within our ward, all filling in 2 pages of a survey, which was hard work to get them to do. And then there were a whole lot of people out of our ward as well. So we're really pleased with that, and we're obviously on the way to doing our plan.
The Kashmir estate development, we will have told you about that. This is the issue, this is the near Worsley's Road and the intersection with Kashmir Road, and it's this side, south-west side of the Adventure Park. And it's 396 houses, unbelievable. And it's going to place a great deal of pressure on what has been a relatively secluded and quiet community. And that traffic and the Adventure Park traffic, plus the logging of the trees that got burnt during the fires, all of that has placed quite a lot of pressure on that community, and we are really pleased to have had a presentation by traffic engineers the other day which are telling us that the lights will be put in place in that particular intersection March next year, was it? March 2018.
And just to mention also about Christchurch community response that had been door knocking since the earthquake, so they've now finished doing that. They did 1,200 homes in Spreydon just recently, and people are obviously seeming, well, hopefully, yeah, they're better now after, well, improving since the earthquake. The community's feeling better, so that was good to hear, and we were just really grateful for all the work and door knocking that they've done in our area. Another thing that the board's recently done is we've had a lot of feedback from residents about bus services, which I'm sure people in other wards do. So we had a passenger transport workshop where we had staff from ECAN come along, and so the residents could talk about all the issues that they had in terms of passenger transport. So there's certain routes that have been taken away and people have got to walk too far to get to somewhere, and we talked about electric buses in the city and all sorts of things that people were interested in. So I guess it's just to let you know that people in our ward have got issues and that we are trying to have connections there with ECAN as much as possible. Also, I thought I'd bring this along. I don't know if you can see this, but our board at our meeting this week, we gave $4,000 towards First Thursdays, which is an event in, can you see that? An event in Sydenham, and they've been going for several years, and Sydenham's no longer in our ward, but we still gave money towards that because we think it's such a great initiative, and we have been supporting it for all of these years, and we wanted to let you all know that we're really supportive of it. And if you want to go to the next one called Dreamscapes, that's on the 3rd of August, 5 till 9, and it's along the streets, and it's a great time and food to eat and heaps of poetry and all sorts of things. They do a different theme each time, so to encourage you to go to that.
And just to mention Warren Feeney, who organises that, he involves the community so much that it's really community development. And we're delighted that the central Linwood Heskett ward because Sydenham is now in their ward, they've also contributed $6,000 towards it. We're thrilled that they're carrying on the contribution to this effort because we think it's great community development and it's such fun, and it's involved all those small businesses there that had such a rough time during the earthquake. They put stuff in their windows, they have activities, they're open during the night, the lights are on, the people are around. It's great. Thanks, and we enjoy it very much. We had community awards the other night for people in our community who have done honourable and committed work. One man had been for 25 years doing prison visiting, and he was quite elderly, and his son came down from Auckland for the award. And I sometimes think when we do these things like community awards and garden awards, we don't appreciate how important it is to the community. And so it's always a really good night when we acknowledge the contribution of the people in our community who do so much work. And finally, we had a meeting of Vista Place residents, police, staff of at the Beckenham Service Centre, City Council staff at the Beckenham Service Centre, and traffic engineers. That's it. I was wondering who I was missing out. About how to resolve the issues of the people who smoke bongs up at Vista Place and run around on people's property, collecting water from their hoses to fill up their bongs, and oh, God. Honestly, and the consensus seems to be that we'll try and get a closure of entry into Vista Place and its environs between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. at night. None of us are happy with those suggestions. It's always something that you know is a breach or a dent in the Bill of Rights, freedom of movement. There's a lot around town that we've done which just shoves the problem on to someone else. you sort of think to yourself, is there no other way that we can do this? You personally would like to have a circle with a view over the sea and say to the people, the young people, go for it, you know, well away from anybody who they might be disturbing, because it's just not resolving the issue, shifting them on. But these people were very distressed about the things that have happened and the noise that's made right through till 3 a.m. most mornings. So we hope we're looking at a process that might resolve the issues. That's it.
Thank you very much. Now, you haven't left us a lot of time for questions. Does anybody have questions for Carolyn? Phil?
More just a brief comment, Andrew. Just I think all the board reports today just show how much work our community boards are doing. But I think one thing in terms of that stands out too with the Spreydon-Cashmere board is what you referred to, Carolyn, with the engaging with the community for the community board plan. And I think that's been outstanding really and exemplary. So I want to compliment the board on that as a councillor here.
Great, thank you very much. Do we have a mover to receive the report? Phil, seconded. Tim, all those in favour? Against? That's carried. Okay, so that brings